Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to take just a few minutes and talk to you about this amazing little device from EaseAstro called StellaVita. And also, I would like to check out a reflection nebula that's around 1,400 light years away from Earth. Stick around, I think you'll be surprised by the results. Since about the beginning of the year, which is roughly 7.5, 8 months, I've been reviewing, using, and testing this little amazing computer from EaseAstro. When it first came out, it was in beta testing. It wasn't available, but just a few people, and I was able to acquire it and start using it. And of course, it was in beta testing, so obviously it had some issues. And I'd put out a couple of videos a couple months ago about whether this would be the ASIAIR killer, or would this, is this going to be my pick for the year? Well, since January, there has been a plethora of updates and improvements in this little device. When it first started, you couldn't use an iPad. You had to use like a tablet, and you couldn't use your iPhone. Now the iOS app is out there. It works perfectly. You can use an iPad or your phone or tablet or even a PC. You can use an emulator and use a PC. But beyond all that, what I want to talk to you about today is one of the biggest things that they've improved, which is just amazing in my book, the tracking, the auto-guiding capability of this device. When I first started, you'll see in some of my videos that I posted out there, I couldn't get it to go, or it would start, and then it would fail after about 2 minutes. But again, that was back when it was in beta testing. But now, this thing is insanely awesome. And let me show you some graph here that I put together. Well, I didn't put it together. I'm not a math whiz. I use ChatGPT to help me out on this, and some of you internet brain power mathematicians out there are probably going to beat me up for having the wrong thing in there. But the biggest point I want to make here about the auto guiding is that when I was using ASIAIR, I would always get somewhere I could never, even though my polar alignment would be great, I never could get my total RMS error really down below 0.8. Sometimes it might be a 0.7, but very rarely. But it would always be good pictures, and I have good round stars, anywhere from between 0.8 of an arc second to just a little over 1 arc minute, right? Now with StellaVita, as you can see in the graph, I'm getting anywhere out the gate at 0.3 to a 0.8, not over an arc minute. There's never been a time where I've been over that arc minute. It might have been for, like, if I bumped a scope or if it's dithering or something, but it's never been that high. So if you look at what ChatGPT here did for me, calculate the difference, and then you convert to percentage to improvement, that's roughly 47.62% better guiding accuracy on average using the StellaVita over the ASIAIR. Now, all I can say is that whether or not those mathematic formulas are correct or not, whether they are or not, it doesn't matter. I know that if you go back and watch my videos and you can see what's documented in the total RMS guiding error versus what I've had on ASIAIR, it clearly, StellaVita blows ASIAIR out of the water on that. It's not even in the same area. I think in the same group. It's just, I don't know what it is about this little box and about their algorithm, but it's like magic. And it works. I've tested it out on the iOptron CEM70G mount. I've used it on my AM5, not the AM5N, but the AM5 from ZWO. And also EaseAstro's EM31 Pro mount. And I've had the best result with the EM31 mount as far as if I put my ASIAIR on that EM31 and then I turn it on, I polar align it, and let it auto guide, I get a way better result out of that mount versus all the other mounts, percentage wise. But the overall gist of this is that I have had tremendous success with StellaVita. Now, is there still room for improvements? Yes, and they are. There's some things that are going to be coming out here shortly, like a rotator and some other little items that the ASIAIR can do that you can't do with StellaVita. But that's going to be for another video. But right now, I would have to go back and say that this thing is way better in auto guiding than ASIAIR at the moment for me with my 3 mounts and the way that I do it. And also, I think that with its open ecosystem and user friendly with other items, with other pieces of equipment, and I will say that I do use a plethora of Player One ZWO equipment, and I even have some Orion equipment. All of my equipment works with StellaVita, whereas on my ASIAIR, which is up here on the shelf, I can only use their equipment. And well, I can't say that because over here, this DSLR camera, of course, it's Canon. It will work. That is one of the only other things that is open to ASIAIR that works. But anyway, the auto guiding, I will have to say, is #1 in my book with StellaVita, and my overall pick for 2025 right now would have to be StellaVita, and definitely going in to 2026 will be StellaVita, and I can't wait for their new and improved inputs. And I will post it here in just a minute what their current version of their SDK and their app version. I'll post that here, but almost like weekly they come out with new updates for this thing. So it's always improving. It's always getting better. But with that, let's jump on over into the Iris Nebula. All right, so here we are inside of PixInsight, and I will have to say that this particular summer has been one of the worst on records that I know of here in South Carolina. The clouds, the moisture, the storms, it was just been horrible, and I haven't had a whole lot of time to get to use the 62 AM from TubeTech. But this is the final image I was able to put together. It's a challenging one, so it's going to be a rough go at processing, but we'll get through it. The data is going to be hosted on my Google Drive. There'll be a link to it in the description, so if you feel like following along, go ahead and download that data, follow along, or just go ahead and watch the video and then process it and see how you do. If you make an image, just tag me in it. I'd like to see your version and how you dealt with the gradients and the issues that you'll see here in just a minute. All right, let's move on forward here. But I will say that the luminance channel had 4 hours. The red channel had 4.3 hours. The green channel 6.3, and the blue channel 6.3. And in essence, to save time, we're just going to speed through some of these processes. But I wanted to show you what the channels look like individually. So this is the luminance channel, and we'll just do a screen stretch here. This is what we started with here. That's the luminance channel. There's the red channel. There's the green channel. And the blue channel. Now, we haven't done anything to these, but I'm trying a different process to go around on this one. There's multiple ways of doing it. I like to try stuff different every time. And this is a new way that I saw somebody do it, try to change it up a little bit as well. So the first thing we would do, we want to do a star alignment. So on all of the channels on this side over here, I've already done the star alignment, SETI-ASTRO's automatic background extraction, blur exterminator, noise exterminator, We did a linear fit. Then we did a channel combination, a RGB channel combination. Then star exterminator, and then a star stretch with some, you get to pick your parameters, whatever you want to do. Then we did a statistical stretch from EaseAstro, and then I did the same thing for the luminance channel. Then I split the RGB channels, and then added them all back in under LRGB combination. Then we, so that was a recombination. Then we stretched the stars, and then put the stars back in, and then you get to play with the color. But I wanted to show you some issues that you're going to have along the way, having such a low time or data in the red channel and the luminance channel, and having such a higher data, much more exposure time in the green and the blue channel. That dealing with clouds and moon gradients, it's been a rough go. So this is what the luminance channel looks like after all those, after the dynamic background and blur and noise exterminator. Real big difference. So here is, like I say, the red channel. This is what the red channel looked like before we did all of that stuff, and this is what it looked like after. So huge difference, you can tell right there. There's the green channel, and you can also notice the gradients here. They get worse as they go. Different ways to deal with that. And then of course down here, this is not a halo. This is an artifact from the RASA, and this telescope was 11-inch Celestron RASA. This was Optolong filters, and unfortunately, I love Optolong filters. I really do. But when doing LRGB and on bright images, sometimes they do have halos and these like off-axis artifacts. I'm not really sure where this is. Somehow, somewhere, there's this reflection coming in and it's bouncing off something. You can clearly tell that it's not a halo because of the, I mean, you can see that it's like a defocused star. It's just weird, but that only happens on my RASA with the LRGB filters. With any of the narrowband filters or anything like that, I don't really have any problems, or if the IDAS filters don't have that issue. Anyway, there's the green filter, and there's the blue filter. And of course, again, lot stronger gradients going on at the bottom. And here's the blue before, and there's the blue after. So after taking all of that stuff, if we were to take these individuals right here, and we'll do a channel combination, and I'm just going to go through here. So processes, all processes, channel combination, and then all we would do is we would just drag over the red to the red, the green to the green, the blue to the blue, and then apply global. And it's kind of like magic. You get a little image here, and it'll put the image together. Now you can kind of see here what I'm talking about is if you do this, if you have, in my case, where I have a low time in the red channel and the luminous channel, and I have a lot more in the green and the blue channel, it shows through. And so this particular one here, we didn't do a linear fit. So if you go back and do a linear fit to each one of these items, you'll help reduce that color gradient, is what I call it. There's a technical term for it, but you can still deal with that. But I just wanted to show you that's some of the things that you'll have to deal with going through this image. But what we did is I went through, and after I did that, basically there's your RGB image, and then I would go through here and do star exterminator, and I do want to make a stars. We want the stars for this one, so we would generate a star image. and just using Star Exterminator, it'll go through about a minute and a half or so. It'll take the stars out, and then you can just set those off to the side. We're not going to go through every single process. Trying to keep this as a shortest video I've done yet. Try to keep it under 20 minutes, or maybe even 15 minutes. That would be awesome. But here we go. Here comes the stars out. And as you can see, there's the stars out right there. So we'll get rid of the stars. There's the RGB image. And I'll close that out, because what I have here is I have the stars where I did the SETI-ASTRO, come down here, SETI-ASTRO star stretch. And what I did was I like to turn the stars down, so I turned the stars stretch down to a 4, and then I boosted the color up to about a 1.3. And then I hit remove the green, and I executed. And that's how I came up with this particular stars image. And I think they turned out pretty good. So I don't want the stars to be overpowering, but that's totally up to you. You get to put it however you want it. So we did that. That's the stars. And then, of course, the RGB image. So here's the RGB image. And let's see, I believe it is stretched. So it's not stretched at the moment. But you could go through that stretching process, and we would do a statistical stretch. And let's see here. We would go through and you could do a GHS or SETI-ASTRO. We'll just do the SETI-ASTRO stretch, statistical stretch, and I'll just do automatic convergence, link stretch, and hit execute. And it'll turn off that screen stretch for you. You don't have to worry about taking that off. There's a couple different ways of doing it. Just to go through a stretching process, you could do a histogram transformation stretch. There's a bunch of different things. I'm just doing something quick and easy. Usually it's pretty fast. There it goes. Okay, so there's the stretch that we've ended up with. And of course, it is not correct. We could do SPCC before we took the stars out, before we stretched it. And two things. So there is this, when you do, let me show it to you before I mispronounce it. Spectrophotometric color calibration. When you do that, and it comes up with, here, let's do this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. Before I talk you through that, I did learn something. So let's go through a channel combination. I'll show you. Let's do this again. There's that. And let's do an SPCC on this. And this is not a great example. So we'll do an average spiral galaxy. I've already got this set up. I used the OptiLong filters. We'll go hit the go button here. And this should color calibrate this to the database for the sky database that's in PixInsight. Now, if this works, which it should, the graph that comes up here's the graph. So what I watched a video and I learned on this graph is this line, this linear line right here. This is the actual line representing, I could be mistaken, but this is the way I took it, representing the colors in the sky. So that's representative of what you chose your filter. So if you put OptiLong R or you used the Nikon D80R, whichever one that you chose, that line will be different depending upon what filter you chose. So that's the line that it's shooting for. And then all these little green spots out here, that's your colors in the actual picture floating out into space. And what you want is those colors to pretty much generally match across that line. So this one is not a good representation of how the colors are matching all through the line. Normally they would just be lots of green dots flowing across that line, meaning that your image is properly calibrated to what was in the sky. And this one's not coming out so well, probably because of all the non-linear fits and the gradients. That's my take on it, and that's how I believe this graph works after watching the video. So let's get rid of that. And so then that was SPCC, and then we needed to do the screen stretch. We'll do the EaseAstro statistical stretch one more time just to get through with it. We'll do the automatic convergence. And what I wanted to say earlier is that what I learned that, and I also learned I thought I was having an issue with PixInsight being really, really slow. However, I don't use Drizzle all that much, and what I noticed on this particular computer with those images, when I drizzled 2 times, it doubled the size of the image. It was like 2 gigabytes, 2.1, 2.2 gigabytes for the image. And when I ran Blur Exterminator, Star Exterminator, Noise Exterminator, it tripled and quadrupled the time that it took to run that process. So I went back, took that off, because there's no way I could show you a video on how to do this, and it takes forever to do. So just know and learn from my mistake. If you use, for me, in my case, drizzling equals a good picture. However, it takes a lot longer to process when you're using lots of data. So anyway, enough said on that. Here we go. This was the statistical stretch from StellaVita, just something really quick on that. And I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. Yes, because we left the stars in it. That's what it was. So that's that image. Let's see here. What did I do here? Standby 1. Getting ahead of the ball game here. All right, so we don't need that image. That was let's rewind this back again. Hang on. Getting ahead of myself. Oops, hit the wrong button again. It's been a long day. All right, so there's the channel combination. We've already done the star removal, SPCC. We showed you that. So what we need to do is we need to get the stars out and then stretch it. So what we're going to do is just take the stars out. We don't need the stars image. We've already done that. We've already showed you the stars. And with that drizzled image, it was going extremely slow to the point to where I just had to quit. I couldn't do it anymore because it was driving me crazy on how long it would take to remove the stars. I'm not sure why it did that, but that's what was happening. So, all right, so now the stars are out. This image is not stretched. Of course, it's not stretched. But let's go ahead and do the statistical stretch on it. Without the stars in it. And then all I did, there's a couple ways to do this. All I did is I'd take this image and I would just adjust it accordingly of however you want. So go to processes, all processes. You can go to range selection. And what we're going to do is create a mask. So let's reset this. Let's get a real-time preview, hit the screening button here, and then we're going to adjust this lower limit down to where I'm just going to get the center of the iris nebula, and then we're going to smooth it out a little bit. Hit the go button, and then we're going to close out the preview, and this is the mask. We're going to drop that mask onto the image. Get this out of the way. So now we are only working on the center part of the iris nebula. Open up the curves. and we can adjust the saturation as needed. If you want, you can go way over saturated, which you don't need. Just boost it up a little bit, hit the go button, and then refresh it each time, because you can overdo it. You don't want to overdo it. So there we go. We'll just do that. I'm just going to do this a couple times just to show you what you can do with it. If you want to make it brighter, you can increase the brightness as such, but that's a little too much there. Let's bring it down a little bit. I think bringing the brightness down gives it more of a depth to it, more like 3D look. Kind of darken it up a little bit, but it's totally user preference here. All right, so now we've got that done. Now we need the background. We need that space dust to really pop. There's a couple ways to do it. I'm not the best at it, but what we're going to do is we're going to invert the mask. So now everything is protected on the inside, and all we're going to do is boost the space dust or the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're on RGBK. So we're going to adjust it just a little bit, bring it up a little bit, and adjust the darkness, the background just a wee bit, and it's all preferential, however you want. Don't mind all the artifacts in there. We're just kind of going over, stretching a little bit. Put it to where you like, and then get rid of the preview, get rid of the mask, and now you're left with that image. And at this point, you could go ahead and drop some SCNR on it to get rid of the green. You could run a color calibrate on it. You could do what you like. We just got to put the we've got to put the luminance in it. So at this point, this is our RGB image. So we're going to call this RGB. My puppy's barking. We're going to call this RGB image right here, and we need to add the luminance to it. But prior to adding the luminance, we can't add it with the stars. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the stars out of the luminance channel. So we're going to do star exterminator. We don't need the stars. We'll go and hit the go button, and it's going to take the stars out of here. It's okay. We're going to take the stars out. Give it just a second here to get through its process. You hear the little pitter patters of my doggies. And let's see here. While we're doing this, you get to see my little baby right here. This is Millie Sue, the little babies. Okay, all right, there you go. Stars are out, so we don't need that anymore. We have the luminance channel right here, and this is just a crude way of doing it. So you can take the RGB and split the RGB channels just as we did there. So now we have RG and the B in new channels. And let's get rid of this main image and put it over here. So now we have these right here, and we can do LRGB combination. And I know this isn't the right way to do it. It's just a different way of doing it. So we're going to drag the luminance channel over there, the green to the green, the B to the B, and the G, G to the G. Put the R in there. You got to put them in the right spaces. Make sure you put the R to the R, RGB, LRGB. And then we're going to hit the go button. Like I say, this is not the proper way to do it. But really, if there's 5 different ways of doing it, it's whatever way you like to do it. I'm just trying something different here. So let's get rid of these out of the way so we can see what's going on. This is our new LRGB image, and it's going to look kind of color wonky. Well, that happens sometimes. So forget what I did to correct that, but you can go back in and add that LRGB to it. And then you add your stars back in. I know I skipped a step here somewhere, but we are going to have the RGB image here. Let's get rid of these out of the way. So we have our RGB minus the L. We add that back in, and then take your stars. Trying to keep this video short. Put the stars back in. And I'm not going to adjust the level of the stars. I'm just going to keep them how they are. You could use image blend to put the luminance channel back in. You do a bunch of different ways. But in effort to save time, just kind of going through. This is what you can do just to kind of shore it up. And if you don't like those artifacts that are in there, then what you can do is also you can do a major crop and get rid of it and just get the Iris Nebula in there. And once that's there, you can tune up the colors as you like. You can adjust it however you want. You could do some more blur exterminator. You do a blur exterminator, kind of sweeten it up just a little bit. You can do noise exterminator, and then adjust your colors however you like. But that's basically it. This was a very tough image for me, dealing with the gradients. I had to play around with it in multiple different ways to try to find the best way. And then each time I did it, I tried to recreate what I did, and it was really difficult to try to do that. So it's a challenge to anyone who would like to try it. Take that data, I'll put it on the Google Drive, see what you can come up with it, post your results, and see how well you can come up with it. But here is what I came up with on my final image with some pretty cool space dust out there. And I think it turned out pretty decent compared to what we were just going through, but that was a rush to go through to show you. But that's my final image. And let's close this out for final thoughts. Okay, so now we're back for final thoughts. I would like to say thank you for watching this video and hanging out with me for the past 30 or 40 minutes. Felt like it was 30 or 40 minutes, but I think it was really only about 30 minutes. Yep. So I appreciate you for hanging out with me for the last 30 minutes. I'd like to say thank you to TubeTech Astro for sending over the SkyEye 62 AM full frame mono camera is what we were just using to take that picture. Thank you for working with me and entrusting in me the gear that you sent over, along with the planetary camera, and giving me the opportunity to really test that out and play with it during the hot summer months. Really put that camera to the test, as well as this full frame mono camera, which is a beast of a camera. It's awesome. I really look forward to maybe having an opportunity to using that again in the winter months when we have some really cool targets available. Also want to say thank you to Dan over at AstroWorldTelescopes.com. I really appreciate you. And if you have any needs in the astro community, whether it be you need telescope gear, you need telescopes, mounts, filters, or advice, see Dan over at AstroWorldTV.com. They have a show every Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. Come out and hang out in the chat, ask your questions. There's all kinds of really cool, interesting people who are smart and know how to engage with you and fix your problems if you have problems, or give you advice. I highly recommend it. And I just want to say thank you again to everyone for watching this video and supporting my channel. It's really appreciative. I love each and every one of you. And until the next time, I'm wishing you clear skies, and we'll see you again.